right.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for staying with us. Now, we hear stories of consumers being ripped off, whether it is being overcharged or paying for services they did not receive. New regulations in the Consumer Protection Act make it difficult for business to treat consumers unfairly. On the line from Cape Town this morning, we're joined by Christelle Fourie, the Managing Director of MUA Insurance, to talk further about consumers being empowered by the amended regulations. And of course, we'll take your calls. What are your experiences as a consumer? 011-537-9333 or 9345. Christelle, thanks so much for your time. Let's just look at the implications of the new regulations of the Consumer Protection Act. What are the details?
Well, I think, first of all, what I want to say is the Consumer Protection Act is something that we all should be very happy about and welcome, because we're all consumers. So whether we are providers of business or services or products, we all end up being consumers at the end of the day as well. So on a very high level, what the Consumer Protection Act is going to take the onus of proving that a service or a product is not doing what it's supposed to do away from the consumer and putting that back onto the person or the company who is providing that service or product. So very good.
All right, but I think for companies particularly, the financial implications could be onerous, and they could be quite scary. If you look at your business practices and your business models, you're going to have to review and revise those, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, and in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, there's a very big focus on the way we communicate with our clients. They specifically say that we should communicate in a plain and simple way. And that doesn't mean that we say people don't understand English. It just means that they don't want us to have documentation full of legal jargon, and that's difficult to understand by the man on the street. So for insurance companies and insurance providers, it means we have to review every single piece of documentation that we send out to our clients and make sure that it's written in plain language. Also that it's written in a language that your consumer or client understands. So if you deal predominantly with the Afrikaans market, you can't send them English documentation.
Yeah, you have to shorten the documentation as well, so that there isn't any duplication or even ambiguity in the language. So if you look at insurance, particularly being a grudge exercise, how are you going to make it easier for consumers to understand what they're buying, and also for the business practices to ensure that they render the services required?
Well, the Consumer Protection Act is forcing us to focus on this area of our business. So what we have to do is we have to review everything. There are specialist writers out, in the market who almost translate legal jargon documents into plain language documents. Yes, we're busy with that process to review everything. And it's not just the plain language. It's also not writing in anything into the contract that the client expects to see there. So have clauses or limitations in your policy that is not fair on the consumer.
I'm sure in your inbox you have a lot of frustration, in the sense that there's non-compliance in certain parts and consumers come to you to try and resolve it. But when it comes to the turnaround time of paying out, we're going to focus on insurance at the moment,
yes.
Has always been a frustration, because the perception is that insurance companies are reluctant to settle, but they're very willing to take the premiums.
There's something else that's coming out. It's a guideline by the FSB on treating customers fairly. It's something that they've done in the UK market, and it really is forcing businesses to look at their customers and treat them in a fair manner. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the image of the insurance industry to away from it being a grudge purchase, and that of one really providing clients with peace of mind when something goes wrong. So all of these, you would think that it would have an impact on turnaround times of paying out claims, but it really is there. All the changes in the legislation really is there to improve the way we treat our clients.
All right, let's speak to Pamela in KwaZulu-Natal. I hope you're a happy consumer, or maybe even a disgruntled one. What's on your mind, Pamela?
What happened is I bought a TV from Ellerins, and then I returned it back because I didn't afford it. And then when I came back to cancel the deal, they told me that I can't cancel, and then they deducted money from my account. I'm still paying for something I don't have now. How am I protected?
All right, stay listening, please, Pamela. We'll get the response for you just after the short break. We're speaking to Christelle Fourie. She is Managing Director of MUA Insurance, talking about the proposed amendment to the legislation affecting consumer protection. That's coming up after the short break with your news headlines.